Hello, everyone. This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. This video today is for you, Glenn, also for you, Kathy, and Ray, and Walt, and Ralph, and Dave, and John, and Joe, and so many others. I put this out today because you need to know this. Because as David Foster Wallace said, the truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. And this video today is about ANSI-ANAB organization, the International Accreditation Forum, incorporated in Delaware. It is a repository for both national and international accreditation bodies. But let's go again. The American National Standards Institute and the American National Accreditation Board, which formed a union in 2018, they're one and the same organization. ANSI-ANAB, Organization International Accreditation Forum, assists countries Iran, China, Russia, bypass sanctions via APAC. The Asia Pacific Accreditation Cooperation, everything's a cooperation. As you can see, you've got the United States, you've got the Republic, the Russian Republic, China, and Iran, and others who sit on APAC. They also are members of the International Accreditation Forum, so maybe a lot of them, I know that Iran gave up their membership to the IAF and joined APAC, so they're still on the IAF because the IAF is the body that they sit on. And I put ANSI as a member because ANSI owns the IAF. They're the ones who founded the IAF. We will show you. So we're going to continue on. We have well, first off, let me just introduce myself. I'm Daryl Guberman. I'm the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. Been open for 13 years as of August, and we've been involved with quality for over 40 plus years in aerospace, medical implants and materials, printing and plastic distribution, where we dealt with every industry. I was a troublemaker on April 17th of 2024 down at the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee Investigation Subcommittee on Capitol Hill. And there is Sam Sallypour, and I'm holding up pertinent documentation that will verify what he is saying. It will corroborate what he is saying about the Boeing 777 and 787. We do not make that up. We have Joe Batia, a failure indeed, a failure. Everything that ANSI-ANAB touches, whether it is in electronics, food safety, toy recall, medical, auto, laboratory, or aerospace, we will show you some of it, especially in the laboratory arena. We've got it all. Where you have a Miss Pamela Sale, a vice president of a laboratory accreditation, confesses to the release of the COVID virus in Wuhan, China. We will get to that very shortly. Sitting on ANSI's board is NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They have the National Institute of Standards Technology Manufacturing Extension Partnership, 50 strong in our states, in the United States, where they get both state and federal funding, where 65% of it, or let's be precise, 64.85% of it goes to pay their management and personnel, and the bitter dregs are left for manufacturing. They also run the NVLP, which is a national laboratory or national voluntary laboratory program, which certified the Dominion voting machines, so our own government certified it. And by the way, I've got a lot of documentation that said those programs that the Dominion are running on are quite hackable. You can't make that up. You have NIST again, as I told you, they sit on ANSI's board. I thought there's supposed to be separation between a private enterprise and government. I guess not, because this guy, Gordon Gilliman, was making $120,000 as a royalty payment, but because I exposed it, they changed it to various royalty payment. It's all the same. Whether taxed or not taxed, the IRS has a problem. We will show you this. So he's not only getting the $120K, but he's also getting his federal salary. And this gets a little bit sticky because we have a special guest here. We have Richard Blumenthal, who's a point guard on that subcommittee of the Department of Homeland Security that was questioning Daryl, Mr. Sam Sallypour. And you have the Homeland Security, and they were watched over by Communist China. I will show it to you. In fact, there still are. Because sitting on APAC, you have China, you also have Iran and Pakistan, who Pakistan harbored Osama bin Laden. Pakistan is even on the IAF. So everybody is doing business while they're supposedly having sanctions, and sanctions don't work, ladies and gentlemen. You have a Mr. Phil Matston who's making over $262,000 royalty payment as a Department of Homeland Security guy. And here he is. Here's, you know something? Thank you, Richard. Thank you for coming. And by the way, this is when he was on the Antitrust Committee back in 2017, when I tried to warn Lockheed Martin about being involved with the IAF, because the IAF at the time, you will see, the IAF at the time was taken over by a communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality for over 30 years, since 1994. Now, we sent letters out to these guys. He was one of the committee members, and we sent certified letters. Do you realize I, as a constituent in Connecticut, he never had he had the audacity to ignore me. Why? Because he's getting subsidized. See that? At the time, that's how much money he was making from Lockheed Martin. Okay? That's absolutely disgusting. Yes, and I went up there. And I held those two pieces of paper. I said, yes, Sam Sallypore is correct, but it's even worse because Boeing has been neglecting supplier auditing for over 22 years, and we have the data. He said, sit down, sir, we'll take you out. And I said, you remember Sylvia, Richard? And he came up after the meeting. He came up, made a beeline, shook my hand, said, give the information to my aides here, this guy, Lorenzo. I'm not going to tell you his last name, but I held back my information because you're going to find out that giving information to the Department of Homeland Security subcommittee on this Boeing deal is like giving it to Beijing, China. And this is what a royalty payment is. A royalty payment is, unfortunately, the term royalty is not defined in the tax law. The regulations simply provide that whether a particular item of income is a royalty must be determined by the facts and circumstances of each case, so they don't know. You also have the Department of Justice on there. And now we're going to get to ANSI-ANAB. Here it is. The American National Standards Institute is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that's been around for over 100 plus years. They have federal agencies and corporations on board. As I showed you before, in 2015, Randy Doherty, the Vice President of ANAB, Chairman of the IAF, and also Principal on the IAF 990 tax firm, he had complete control over it, handed over leadership to Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality since 1994. Mind you this, at the time, he is also the Chief Executive of the China National Accreditation Services that certified the laboratory in 2017 in Wuhan, China. We're going to continue. Randy wrote us an email back when he was the chairman of the IAF and principal on the IAF tax report and also the vice president of ANAB. He basically said an IAF MLA, which is a multilateral agreement, and a multi-regional agreement, IAF MRA, are equivalent in accreditation to ANAB, which means this. Okay, let's say for a laboratory certification that is accredited by the China National Accreditation Services, that Zhao Jinwu ran at the time, is basically equivalent to an ISO 9001 or ISO 17025 laboratory certification accredited by ANAB. And by the way, ANSI-ANAB are underwriters for both the IAF, which again is a repository for national and international accreditation bodies, incorporated in Delaware. It's an American company that was run by China from 2015 to 2021. You can't make this up. Their sister organization, ILAC, which I will show you shortly, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, is out of Australia. You have ANAB that sits on ANSI's board and vice versa. In 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB. And also, between the years 2015 and 21, they were definitely on the IAF, while the Communist Chinese national Zhao Jinwu was watching over them. And those other organizations, federal agencies, they too were watched over by China because of their membership with ANSI-ANAB. Do you get the point here, ladies and gentlemen? You have over 10 different registrars that sit, that can issue an ANSI-ANAB accreditation in China, no less. This is definitive without a doubt that it states down below that ANSI is a founding member of the IAF and a ANAB affiliate. Actually, they're all intertwined. There used to be ANSI-NAPRAP, National Accrediting Board. Then you had also you have ANSI ASQ, American Society for Quality, which turns into ANAB. And then in 2018, they finally joined forces to go ANSI-ANAB. And here it is. They are sister organizations. In fact, Randy, there he is, as the chairman of the IAF and the and also the principal on the IAF tax report 990, and also the vice president of ANAB gave a speech concerning the IAF and its sister organization, ILEC. Here is Zhao Jinwu in 2017 handing a laboratory cert to Wuhan, China, no less. In 2018, a contingency from the United States went there, and the Chinese scientists were saying, "Please, we need trained technicians." And in a CDC document, training document, not for any type of bio-level 4 lab, only Wuhan, China, they said the most important part of containment is well-trained technicians. So he gave a faulty certificate into a lab that was not prepared and ready to do research. And there you go. And to confirm this, under deposition 2017, you had a Miss Pamela Sale, Vice President of ANAB, Chairman of the IAF, the Vice President of Laboratory Accreditation for ANSI-ANAB. And she stated that one of the issues that there's no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs, I'm going to add this, bio-level 4 labs, phlebotomy labs around the country have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs choose to follow or not. The laboratory is out of control. And I'm going to say this. When we went down and we gave that, information we didn't give much. We went down, and here's Senator Blumenthal. We went down and we got up in front of this, and I wasn't supposed to. In fact, he could have thrown me out until I mentioned my mom, and then they just sat me down nicely. And he came up afterwards to a beeline and shook my hand. When you have the Department of Homeland Security sitting on ANSI's board, especially during 2015 and 21, watched over by China, we have also documentation that shows how they were hacked, Department of Homeland Security and other federal agencies. And this committee will not do anything constructive. I was there, I was sitting there, it's pomp and circumstance. In fact, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing you the other senators who were involved with the inquisition of San Sally Par, saying how bad it was, Boeing, Boeing, Boeing. You'll find all the information down below. But I will let you know shortly, in several weeks, the different representatives that were sitting there inquisitioning him and who's getting paid by Lockheed, who's getting paid by Boeing. And these compromise the integrity of that committee. On top of it compromising integrity, it compromises the integrity of not only the committee, but by their membership with ANSI. You're basically, I think you should have a red Chinese flag over here. Unbelievable. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, tqrs@yahoo.com. And I will say this again from Confucius, it is not the droplet of water that wears away the mighty stone, but it is its persistence. And as Dwight D. Eisenhower said, remember this, Richard, he said, it's not the size of the dog in the fight that counts, it's the size of the fight in the dog. I thank you.